Ethan Wallace sat on the edge of his leather couch, fingers drumming against his knee as the city skyline glittered beyond the floor-to-ceiling windows. His penthouse was a fortress of wealth and order, elegant furnishings, priceless art, and silence that echoed like a void. He had everything money could buy, everything but someone who truly loved him. At 38, Ethan was the founder and CEO of Wallace Tech, a billionaire genius with more accolades than he could count. But after losing his wife 6 years ago, all of it felt hollow. His life revolved around two people now, his 6-year-old twins, Max and Mia. They were his world. And while he had built empires in business, he'd failed at love, not because he hadn't tried, but because every woman he met saw the wallet, not the man. You need to stop pretending you're okay being alone, said Amanda, his younger sister, sipping her coffee in his pristine marble kitchen. You're not just some random guy. You're raising 2 kids who deserve to see what real love looks like. I'm not interested in being someone's trophy, Ethan muttered. Then don't be. Amanda smirked. Pretend you're broke. Let me set you up on a blind date. No private jets, no billionaire headlines, just you, a guy in flannel, with your kids, and a rusty car. If she sticks around after that, you'll know. Ethan raised an eyebrow. The idea was crazy, but somehow, it stayed with him. He thought about how many times women smiled politely at Max's jokes, or barely acknowledged Mia tugging on their dress. How many forced compliments and fake interest had he seen? So the following Saturday, he went all in. No designer suit, just jeans and a worn-out jacket. Instead of the Aston Martin, he drove his old Jeep Wrangler. No nanny, he brought Max and Mia with him. If she can't handle the chaos. She can't handle me, he told his reflection. They arrived at a small, cozy diner, tucked on the corner of 5th and Willow, the kind of place where the pancakes were bigger than the plates, and coffee came with refills. As they walked in, Ethan spotted her at a booth by the window, a woman with warm brown curls, wearing vintage glasses, a well-loved book in her hands. Layla. She looked up and smiled. You brought the entire crew, she said playfully. This is Max and Mia, Ethan replied. I figured I'd cut to the chase. Instead of recoiling or awkwardly smiling, Layla knelt to the twins' level. It's a pleasure to meet you both, she said, holding out her hand like they were diplomats. Max looked impressed. Mia giggled. From that moment, the kids were hooked, and so was Ethan. They slid into the booth. Max spilled his milk. Layla grabbed a handful of napkins without blinking. Mia asked if she knew how to draw a unicorn, and Layla, with surprising skill, drew one on a napkin. When the food arrived, she cut pancakes into funny shapes and shared her syrup with Max. Ethan just watched. Women had tolerated his kids before. Layla embraced them. She didn't ask about his job. Didn't comment on the car when he told her he worked 2 jobs to keep things afloat. She nodded respectfully. I run the youth program at a non-profit, she said. Doesn't pay much, but the hugs are great. They talked for an hour. Then 2. About books, about life, about parenting. She didn't seem impressed. She seemed present. Real. Later that evening, as they walked to the Jeep, Mia reached for Layla's hand. She took it without hesitation. Ethan opened the car door, and Layla looked back at him. She said, this might have been the weirdest first date I've ever had, but also the best. Ethan smiled. Then maybe we can make it weirder next time. And just like that, something inside him shifted, not because he was falling for a woman, but because, for the first time in years, someone saw him, and stayed. Tick-tack-toe. Ethan chuckled. They agreed to meet at a local park the following weekend. He brought a picnic basket, and the twins brought energy that could light up a city. Layla arrived with homemade cookies, a stack of children's books, and band-aids, just in case. She wasn't just thoughtful, she was prepared. Asterisk. And once again, she made Ethan feel like a man, not a bank account. Asterisk. At the park, Layla let her guard down too. She talked about growing up in foster care, about never knowing her parents, and about how the non-profit she worked at was more than just a job. It was her way of giving back. Ethan listened, surprised at how much of his own pain her story seemed to mirror. Asterisk. I used to think love was for other people, she said. Rich people, whole families, not girls like me. Asterisk. He looked at her, long and slow. I used to think the same thing, except for different reasons. Asterisk. They fell into a rhythm. Over the next few weeks, Ethan didn't tell her the truth. He wanted to. God, he tried. But every time he saw how natural she was with the kids, how she packed snacks with tiny notes for Mia, or laughed at Max's terrible jokes, he grew more afraid. Asterisk. What if the truth scared her away? Asterisk. And then, everything changed. Asterisk. It was a Thursday when it happened. Layla showed up at Wallace Tech's headquarters, not for Ethan, but with a group of kids from her youth program, scheduled for a STEM tour through a local initiative. She hadn't known the company was his. He hadn't known she was coming. Asterisk. Ethan had been in a meeting on the 30th floor when his assistant called, voice tight. Asterisk. Sir, there's a woman downstairs. Layla. She says she's here for the educational tour with 27 kids. His heart dropped. He ran down the executive elevator, mind spinning. She stood in the lobby, surrounded by wide-eyed children, staring at the massive touchscreen displays and glowing tech walls. Layla turned as he approached. Asterisk. Her face shifted, first surprise, then confusion, then something colder. Asterisk. You work here. Asterisk. I own it, he confessed. Layla, I was going to tell you. I just asterisk. You lied. The word cut. I wanted you to know me, not the headlines, not the billionaire. Just a father. Just a man. Asterisk. She crossed her arms. And you didn't think I deserved to know the truth. Asterisk. I was scared, he admitted. Because every woman I've ever met sees the money first. But you didn't. You saw my kids. You saw me. She looked at Max and Mia, who had just run up with beaming faces. Miss Layla, this place is like a spaceship, Mia said, grabbing her hand. And Daddy's the captain, Max added. Layla's eyes softened just a little. She knelt to their level. Asterisk. Hey, you two. Can I talk to your dad for a moment? They nodded, running off again. She stood up and took a deep breath. Asterisk. You didn't trust me enough to tell me the truth. But I can't ignore what I've seen, how you are with them, how they adore you, how we laugh together like we've known each other forever. Asterisk. So what now? He asked, voice low. Asterisk. She reached into her bag and handed him a note Mia had written to her last week. It read, Please don't go. You make Daddy smile again. Tears welled in Ethan's eyes. I'm mad, Layla whispered. But I'm also human. And maybe, just maybe, we're all allowed to mess up when we're scared of something real. Asterisk. Does that mean I get another chance? He asked. Layla looked at him for a long moment. One more. But this time, no secrets. And next time, you're bringing the cookies. Ethan smiled. Deal. Asterisk. Asterisk.